No.
Everyone's green light on their microphone should be on. And now it's 4 p.m.
Okay. So I call to order the October 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Museums and Cultural Arts Commission. May we have the roll call?
Yes, of course. First, we have Chair Kimsey,
Present.
Vice Chair O'Neill,
Present.
Commissioner Evans,
Here.
Commissioner Sovereign, I'm told is no longer here, right? No longer part of the commission. And then
Did Mike officially step down? Do you know if he contacted her or if he's
He
just not present?
officially said he was going to. If he needs to come back because we don't have enough people, he will temporarily.
Well, just for the record for.
He did step down officially at the last meeting.
So Michael?
I think we have to get a,
Timed out.
okay,
Oh, you timed out.
he timed out,
He
but I think
didn't reapply.
he didn't reapply. So
Right.
people haven't done the reappointments just yet. We'll just go there. We'll connect on that after.
Okay.
Because I've timed out and I've reapplied, but I have not heard from the mayor. Yeah.
I think they changed how they're doing it this year too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the roll for now. Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
I don't know if I got you already, but Commissioner Wachkowski.
Yeah.
Great. That is everyone who's part of the commission is present today. For staff, we have the library and museums director, artifact specialist, and myself, recording secretary. And if the public can participate remotely by Zoom with the information found on this meeting's agenda, posted at monterey.gov/agendas or by telephone toll free at 833-568-8864. The webinar ID for this meeting is 161-622-2299. This information is also on the meeting agenda. Thank you.
Okay. So was there any discussion on the consent agenda? No discussion from anyone? And as any changes to the minutes? Can we approve the minutes as they were stated from the last meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so do I hear a motion
I'll move approval.
approval?
I will second.
Okay, any against? Pros, cons? Okay.
I have to abstain because I was absent.
You were absent. So are there any comments online?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, and we have, did you wish to speak today? No. Okay, thank you.
We do need to have a vote on the minute, just by roll call.
Oh,
So if we have Chair Kimsey,
agree.
Vice Chair O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wachkowski, I have your abstention. Thank you. Now we can move on.
All right. So moving on to the reports and comments. There are a couple things I would just like to ask. I think this is the appropriate point. Is there any update from Commissioner Evans on the Colton Hall repairs and the water set?
No, we haven't had an NIP meeting.
Yeah, so I can stay on there was the initial kind of NCIP meetings where they go over feasibility of programs, of projects, and that was passed as feasibility of it being an NCIP project. But the next NCIP meeting is actually a joint meeting between City Council and the NCIP. I believe it's in October. I'd have to look back I can look at the date of that. But that's going to be looking at, there's been discussions at council about, let me see, I'm just trying to see if it's on here right now. If it's,
Because there was one NIP meeting that was canceled.
right.
And it was another one that was postponed.
Right, there was a couple that would have been postponed, but the next one is supposed to be a joint meeting on that one. And that one, they're going to be looking at the funding and priorities for that, but they haven't gone over the projects, project by project yet.
Individually yet. So that's later this month.
I believe, usually NCAP goes over the projects project by project, but they're going to do a joint meeting between council and NCIP, and I have not seen it show up on the council yet, meeting agenda yet.
Okay, and the other thing, are there any updates on the mayor's selection for our commission to fill us out?
I have not seen any updates on that either. And I don't know, as Commissioner Wachowski mentioned, that he applied for reappointment. But we have not heard if there's been any interviews. You will see online, if you go to the city clerk page, all of the applications are on there and they are redacted in terms of the personal information of the people's address, phone number, email, that kind of thing. But you can see all of the different applications for people interested in the Museums and Cultural Arts Commission on the city clerk page. And it still shows that they're accepting applications at this time.
Would be good if we filled in because the only four of us, it's hard to get a quorum. So the next item is an update on the Colton Hall Music Series. And Brian, are you going to do that? You want me to do it or what?
I could just start it off
Okay.
and then pass it off to you, Chair Kimsey. But just to start with is that we held our concert series with Terrence Farrell over at our first concert over there in the afternoon. It was about 4:00 to about 5:30 on a Saturday afternoon over there at Colton Hall. It was a guitar concert inside. We had 65 people on the register on the library and museums website. So we did the registration to that, worked with a booking company, Kelly Productions, and actually worked to hire the person. And I thought the event went really well. And I know Chair Kimsey and Commissioner Sovereign were both there to volunteer to help when we put out, snacks and drinks, and then talked about donating to concert series and all that. So overall, it was we did have two people on the museum's side also. I had one of our museum attendants, Liz Jensen, was there, and a volunteer. John Schubert was there to help out as well, just to kind of like track everybody coming in and welcome everybody. And we got the room set up. We had the candles out. We had put in new batteries for the candles to have the timers on. And overall, I think people were very happy with it. And I thought it was a great event and looking forward to our next one. I know the next one, Chair Kimsey and I are definitely looking at was November 1st. And but we're looking at another date, hopefully late October, if I can, working with Kelly Productions. But I'll pass it back to the chair if you have any.
Brian, can I ask why was it done at 4:00? The old name of it was Candlelight Concerts, and there's not much candlelight at 4.
So we talked about it at an earlier commission meeting about, and there might have been ones you weren't at, but it was just that we're getting the audience there is primarily age 60, 70 and up. There's quite a bit of an older audience, and then a lot of people are not driving at night. And
So
so
they prefer
like to look at the earlier time. And then also it was just the staffing.
Yeah.
I had my son, and so I was, had to be there. And it's like getting the timing of us having the ability to have staff there too, with very limited staff and staff on the weekends too. We need the staff to do it, but also the driving time for people on there, and to try this season out at around 4:00. So we have kind of that around the end of the day, and then see how that works for 20.
We didn't do a survey, just observation that 4:00 would be better than evening.
It was
For the audience.
part of the audience, but also what staff is capable of doing.
Yeah.
Like, what can we actually reasonably expect? Because like I've been working 6 days a week, and I don't want to to be honest, I don't want to spend a Saturday night at 7:00 and come in and work 7 to 9. I just don't want to do that. So just if I'm working 6 days, I don't want to do extra time on that side. I want to make sure that my time and my staff's time are actually going to be there to open up and tear down the building and everything.
So I think
Thank you.
it
Mhm.
worked out very
Yeah.
well. It was oversubscribed. 50 is what we're technically allowed, I think. but the RSVPs came in at more than that,
50? I mean, I thought we were allowed way more than 50.
50 is what we're allowed. And,
Talk to the fire marshals.
yeah,
No, but in the
So
past,
you-
haven't we had more than 50?
I thought we did because we had chairs.
I don't know.
Way in the back.
This time
Yeah.
it was limited to 50, so that's, we
Well,
have
it was,
followed that.
I will say we initially limited it to 50 on the website, but then I opened it up to 65.
Okay.
So I did open it up to more. It was initially, then I went by what was on the waiting list and opened everybody else on the waiting list just to see how we could do. We have 50 chairs, but then we added the additional benches in the back
Okay.
for that.
Okay, so it was really a nice concert. We got a standing ovation. And I had down that October 25th was our next one. Is that tentative or is that for sure?
That's tentative, and that's
Okay.
because that was the one, the artist that you and I spoke on, and I can't,
No, John Weed is November 1st,
right, November 1st, but there was another person you and I had spoke of that was no longer available.
not available.
And that's
Okay.
where I was looking at the 1025 as a alternate. So I'm just working with the booking just to make sure that the
Okay,
concert's
as long as we're
possibly available.
moving forward, that's what counts.
Yep.
And I forget, where are we? Are we making a request for funds through a mailer, or we're not doing that this year because we don't need to?
We did, Chair Kimsey, we put out envelopes at the beginning, and then we asked everybody if they wanted to, we asked everybody there if they wanted to donate, told them to drop it in the box. And then if there was anybody who wanted to mail a thing, and we talked about sending it to the library. But we have a list of the emails right now. So the thought is that we will probably work on after the concert series. After the concert series, send out something, those three, when we do the three concerts, and say, if we want these, we're gonna,
Oh, that's a
Work
good
on that.
approach, yeah.
I think I already received an email, a post-concert email.
you
No,
got a post-concert email for that one, but I was thinking we could send out
Receive one?
another one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, if you signed up for the concert, I suspect.
Oh, have you signed up for the concert?
Those
Yeah, so-
attended, yes.
I can ask, I don't know, Commissioner Wachowski, which was that the last time we had the email list that we had was because the concert was back in 2019. So we actually had people that are deceased or have moved. And I did not want to mail out letters to people to say, do you want to donate to the concert if people pass away? So that was something where I said to Chair Kimsey that let's restart, let's start fresh, get the list. And then when we have at the end of the concert, we'll send an email that just says, like, if you enjoyed the concert, please think about donating. And then after we do the series, we'll say, if you want to see this in 2026, please think about donating to us again. And we'll do that one more time.
Okay, and we can now receive the Library and Museums Director Activity Report.
Sure. And let me know if there's anything, I'll just go through a couple of highlights on here. If there's anything specifically you want us to talk about. But I just want to congratulate first off our artifact specialist, Brianna Sperling, who received a Groundworks grant. This is a grant regarding our collections management and something we've been working on to properly store our collections. So some of these things are going to be additional shelves for the vault. And I know some of our commissioners have been inside of our small vault on those things, but we're also going to be ordering a cold storage freezer, which is basically a commercial type of a freezer like you would get for your garage. But this will track, temperature, humidity, and those kind of things, which are really needed for negatives and film reels. So when you have film negative and certain types of roll film, they're better kept at a specific temperature. So that's where they're having a number of our old photos and objects stored in there, so that will keep them in longevity. So we're happy about doing that. So congratulations on that. I'm working with a artist, Joss Senses, and Talavera Ceramics is in there, and that's figure 1 in the packet where you'll see the draft of the replacement tile map, which is the De Anza map. And we are on track that they will install a new map, and The timeline, my goal is to have that installed by March 2026, because that's going to be the 250th anniversary of the De Anza expedition. And that map it's a version of the Pedro Font map, who was the person from the church that came up with the De Anza expedition. And he mapped the state of California, which is now what we consider now the state of California, but he mapped the route. And so that drawing of Alta California is based on Pedro Font's map. So I thought it would be great to have that installed by the 250th. But that's going, we are working on that. That is something that previously the commission had approved, making the replica and doing the funding. So I'm really happy that we have that to go forward, because that's going to be a great piece. And we'll also have it installed on a metal mount and installed better so it'll last a lot longer. What I found in terms of the reason I think it fell is because when they installed it, they put it on stacks of kind of like mortar instead of like a single layer of mortar. They put it on patches of mortar, and so the water would seep through the patches, and the water collected and pushed the map out. So instead, we're going to put it like on a stainless tray where it'll have ability for the water to seep out, and then put it in there for a much longer lasting map. So very happy to see that going through. And also you'll see on there the APA, there was American Planning Association Northern California conference that was held here in Monterey, somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 planners here. It's a great conference. Myself, Brianna Schwerling and Melissa Mejia staffed a booth, which was a history booth about, California history, but we also answered just a lot of questions, met with a lot of different planners throughout the area, talked about things like the recreation trail, how we do historic interpretation, how we do signage along the city, talked about Prickett's Lab, talked about Colton Hall, and we really passed out stacks and stacks of the map for the Path of History, postcards. I co-led 3 different tours. One was a bicycle tour from the conference center to Ricketts Lab, and then passed them over to the aquarium. Did a walking tour of the Lower Presidio Historic Park, along with Tim Thomas, Linda Yamane, and Cameron Binkley from the Defense Language Institute. And then also did a walking tour with Fernanda Riveri here from our planning department. And I did just the component here on Colton Hall, the old jail and City Hall complex. So it was a really great way for us as a museums department to work with our neighbors, which I'll call them, the neighbors.
So does the map you were handing out of the path include the Pearl Street edition?
Not yet. What we had was we used the stack map that they used to hand out at like the hotels. We still had like 1 or 2 little stacks of those things left, which we've been passing out. Those need to go through. The one for Pearl Street and New Monterey, we have some of the content built on the app. And to be honest, that's something that I haven't had the time to really work on, because I've been in contact with a company that does map that would actually create it and do the distribution. But it is a goal for us to do a new map. Like, do we do like a new print version of a map? One thought we've had was whether we do a print version of a map and distribute it the same way through like the hotels, at the airport, at the Welcome Center in Santa Cruz and Gilroy, Salinas, like distributing more of those and then highlight that. But that is something that, it's something that's on a goal of something we're really interested to do, because I think it might draw in more people on that way too. And
any thoughts about when and how we're going to physically label the spots on the sites on the Pearl Street or Monterey editions?
Yeah, well, so you may have seen, I think I brought them in or before. I had some smaller signs, and you'll see one like at the base of Colton Hall underneath, and you'll see them at the old jail or Vasquez Adobe, where I made signs which have the audio tour, the phone number, and the QR code. And the same way I put on the new sign up there in front of Colton Hall, like on the street on Pacific Street. I put 3 of those. I have a 4th one coming, but the smaller ones, the metal ones, are much cheaper and easier to install. And we've been going by doing them all around town in our current path. It would just be funding all of those different sites, and because the majority of them are private sites. So I did all of the ones like I did at the Wharf, I did at Casa Serrano, other sites where we already had them on the path. But it would be, if we were to use those metal signs, because we don't have the funding to do all of the tiles, because that would be like a lot of work in terms of streets and then setting that work. But the metal tiles, I don't know if it would be something where we would say to a person either, are you interested in a metal sign? It costs $50. Like, here's a $50 and then we recoup the money. Or do we go to a grant for a community foundation grant or something like that, that says, we've done this path of history, we've done the expansion. Now we need, $30,000 to $50,000, and then we install 1 or 2 kiosks similar to what Old Monterey Foundation did at Lower Presidio Historic Park, which is kind of like this is a start point for it with additional signage around town.
And the city or the library get into Monterey Gives with a program?
So the Monterey Public Library Friends and Foundation aren't going to fund museums programs, and they do the funding. So it's like you have to be a nonprofit to do that, to do the program. So it's generally the nonprofits and not the city or the government agency itself. So for example, like California State Parks doesn't push forward anything. Monterey State Historic Park Association is the agency that puts forward the project, right? So it's generally the nonprofit arm of a government agent that does the MC Gives component off of that.
How about the Old Monterey Foundation? Putting in a pitch for the path of history.
I think the deadline is already over for this year.
Okay.
But in the future, we would do that. We did the MIIS mural, and we're looking at a mural on Alvarado Mall. So yes, we would do it as long as it's in the public right of way.
And I will
That's a good
say,
point.
what I would say also, because like if you look at the map, I didn't realize this until after I actually created them, but the path of history, the 24-inch by 36-inch panels that are on the decorative poles that we have around town in certain posts. One was here at Colton Hall. I didn't realize we had one at Golden State Theater. So that one, if you go in front of there, that is an old sign that needs to be replaced. And that is something that I think along a sign like that, it could be, and that was, I believe, done by the city. That's also a city marker as well. But whether that would be in downtown Alvarado Street marker with another site like of a QR code and a phone audio tour or something like that. So that might be possibility for an organization like Old Monterey Foundation, where we say this panel right here highlights old Alvarado Street, and then we install the little signs, QR codes. I think a lot of businesses or private places might be more interested in smaller signs than something really, something very large or permanent or something very expensive. But that's what I would see as a possibility moving forward. So it's definitely something for us to work on consistently. So there's other things in here. I'll just highlight our tours. We had at the Pacific Biological Labs, we had 10 different tours, which may not sound like a lot, but for Brianna or I are typically the ones there or leading the tours, but different schools from around. And, whether it was Hopkins or Carmel, like we had different schools and different private groups. It was just a very busy month for that site. So I'm really proud of the work that we're doing there of highlighting that site, and a lot more people are seeing it.
Three Row Foundation isn't very active, are they?
No.
No.
Yeah,
They used to do tours for 10 or 15 bucks a person or whatever.
Yeah. So for us on our private tours, we are charging. So we are getting a little bit of revenue from our private tours, and it is around $15. It's four people minimum. So it's $60, and each additional person is $15. And it used to be any group size, we would charge them $52.50. And then last year I upped that fee to $60 for a minimum of 4, and then $15 each additional person. And we are not charging currently for schools, like nonprofits, but I do think it's something that I've talked with my team about is we may come back and talk to the commission early 2026, whether we should put in the master fee schedule an education fee, tour fee. And part of that is I do know that our partners like California State Parks, they do charge a fee. Some organizations do not charge a fee, or if it's a recommended fee. But we should think about that because it does take staff time and it does take a lot of staff resources when you have a school saying, we're going to bring over 4 classes. And then you have 100 kids doing it. It takes a lot of, for us, it's multiple staff, it's multiple volunteers. It takes a lot for us to do that. And also to highlight, we are planning on the survey to open this month in October for Lower Presidio Historic Park for the next steps on the park. And as a reminder, that went back to council for us to talk about the next steps on the park. We'll open up the survey, and then my plan is for the next Museums Cultural Arts Commission is to bring back the survey and bring back the discussion back to the commission. And then we assign a commissioner to work as, like in this commission, Parks and Recs Commission, Historic Preservation Commission. So I'll get members from the 3 different commissions together and come to like host an event over at the Presidio Monterey Museum about what do we recommend for next steps on the park. So we don't have our results yet. I worked on the survey questions and ran them past Parks and Recreation, Community Development, City Manager's Office. Just waiting for them to be translated into Spanish because I want the survey to be bilingual. Once I get that, the survey will be ready to post. And I
You'll
will,
send a copy of the survey to us.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then we have a third Monterey Angel ornament. It's going to be coming out in the next week or so. I've already received it, but it's a brand new ornament that I designed. Those are going towards funding our angel restoration projects. And with that, yeah, we have some other signage. You'll see Monterey parking garage window. You'll see that display was a 4-foot by 6-foot display that's in the packet. It's the Cannery Row the workers. It's a George Robinson photo. And I scanned in labels from our California history room and I just put them onto the image. We had to take down the previous display about 2 years ago because it got sun damaged and it started to deteriorate. So for now, what we did is I printed that 4-foot by 6-foot image. So it's right there on Wave Street, right outside the parking lot. And just looks very sharp after having just a really rundown display. And also in figure 3 in the packet, you will see different images that we installed. These are about 3 feet by close to a little bit over 6 feet, each one of the images. So a total of like 6 feet by 7 feet on the parking garage. So on Tyler Street by the parking garage department, on Tyler near Del Monte where the MST trolley stops. We had some old display cases, and what I had noticed was that the display cases had probably not been updated in 30 plus years. It said the Christmas in the Adobes was held every year on Thursday and Friday. Christmas in the Adobes is Friday and Saturdays. It had photos of children that looked like they went to school with me, like in elementary school. Things like Monterey Peninsula Museum of Art, which is no longer that. It's the Monterey Museum of Art. We had phone numbers that were out of date because there was old posters and signs for things like the lighthouse. So we had to get the site, we had to get it rekeyed, new lights installed. It was just a pain because California State Parks had their own display. Monterey State Historic Park Association had their own display. So I took back all of them. We kept one display right now currently, which has Colton Hall items, but the other objects, you'll see the other ones in there. I took one of the photos there was from 1901. I really like that photo because it's facing, if you look at the photo, that's the first one is figure 3, because you're facing Custom House from the intersection. And this is actually something that Bill, as we've talked about with Old Monterey Foundation, what kind of photos work good. I like this one because it focuses towards the custom house down Calle Principal and Alvarado where they merge, but you have people on horses, you have people in cars, and you can see a version of the train track right there in the corner. So I thought that was pretty nice. And then the next images, we have our a drawing of by Jose Cordero, which was from the Malaspina expedition, and that was a Spanish expedition. And Jose Cordero drew things like Carmel Mission. Jose Cordero drew different Native Americans out there, and that was one of the images I felt that was be interesting there. And then also the purse seiner A.A. Ferrante, which was a 70-ton haul of fish coming in there. So I thought that was really a great one, being so close to the wharf. And then figure 5, there's 2 different photos of their Japanese Americans, because it's also right next, as we talk about that Pearl District, having photos of our Japanese Americans and their contributions. So having the abalone, not only having the abalone photo there, but the abalone just down the street is at the wharf, at the municipal wharf. That's where they still do abalone farming right over there. And our abalone diver, Roy Hattori, who was the only Nisei or second generation Japanese diver in this area. So he discovered the white abalone further south. But those were the photos we looked at from our California history room. We just ordered vinyl, and me and the team went up there and installed it. So it's a little, we didn't do, it's a little messy, but we tried our best and figured it would be a good way to just highlight, because the parking department had seen like those displays had not been touched, not been cleaned for years. And just even if it was something like just a vinyl that we could put up to just make it a little bit brighter, especially as people come in off the MST trolley. That's one of the stops, the regular trolley stops. So we were happy to get those up and happy to answer any additional questions about anything.
And the newspapers had several stories about the fiscal issues facing the city. Is there any initial impact on the museum division? It's my understanding that, and it wasn't covered very much in the newspaper, but it's my understanding that there's a freeze on replacement of employees. Is that correct?
I think what Hans has mentioned is more what he's called a chill, where they've gone through
A chill, not a freeze.
chill, not a freeze, which is essentially looking at every position that pops up, because you'll see like they just hired a number of, or they put out a number of different positions, the Parks and Recreation directors. It's another position that's actually being recruited as of right now. There's other positions that are out, but I think there's a chill on positions. This department, they just haven't funded, they haven't created the positions that we had pre-pandemic. So it's not like we lost anything. But we just, for right now. And the other thing is that we haven't gotten any direction as of this moment, whether any other funding has changed for the budget. So I don't have any changes right now in terms of our budget for museums.
Alrighty.
We do have 2 things coming up in October.
Yeah.
Events.
So we have the California Constitution Convention reenactment happening on the Sunday, the 5th. There's 2 showings, 12 o'clock and 2:30, I believe that is. The 2:30 was full. 12 o'clock we had availability. I'll have to check that. We'll go through, but that was that one happens pretty much annually. We worked with Kevin Handstick on that one, so they've been practicing for that, and looking forward to that program again. And the other one, the California State Supreme Court, that's going to be October 8th. And there's going to be very high security. There's going to be some limited seating. So what we did is basically the last time the California State Supreme Court were here in Monterey was 1959. And what they're going to be doing is they're actually going to be hearing 4 different cases. They're going to be hearing 4 oral arguments, real cases here in Colton Hall. So the California State Supreme Court will be here. So I've been in working with Monterey County Courts and the California State Supreme Court for the past several months on all the logistics, working with CHP, working with all their teams. And that Wednesday, basically, CHP will be doing security. Monterey County Courts is going to be helping to coordinate the schools coming in. So what we're planning is to basically have 3 overflow sites watch cases, because depending on how many, we're not sure how many, I'm not sure at least how many schools are coming by, but we booked the Irvine Auditorium over at Middlebury, just walking distance. We booked council chambers here for students to watch, and also the library. Because if they're going to swap out classes in between 4 cases, if there's 2 classes in each case, and then there will be some public seating, we'll have a photographer in there and that. So what they'll do is in between each case, they'll probably swap out 2 classes. So they'll have a total of about 8 classes minimum that will view the cases, but it'll be up to the clerk of the Supreme Court how many public seats, but it does have to be publicly accessible and viewable. But that would be Wednesday, October 8th. And that was also picked up on the Herald.
There are 2 other October events. A week after that, October 15th, our illustrious director, Brian, is speaking through the Old Monterey Foundation at the McCone Center at MIIS. If you would mark that down, October 15th at 6:00, on how California became a state. So he's going to give some anecdotes about some of the representatives that came to the meeting, and he's going to have a display and other items there. And then there's a wine and cheese reception afterwards. Also, if you pick up today's Monterey County Weekly, there's a art studio tour that's next weekend. And I think for the very first time, I saw listed the library and Colton Hall as part of the tour.
That's right. That's right. I remember, I thought I put it in here, but I forgot about the, we're gonna have 2 weekends where basically we're gonna have 4 artists in Colton Hall. So that's also gonna be those weekends where we're gonna have, Colton Hall will have art. And Brianna, do you remember the dates again? It's those 2 weekends.
11th, the art studio tour, it's 11th and 12th.
So it's actually 2 weekends, 11th and 12th and 18th and 19th.
Oh, okay.
So we will have art here inside Colton Hall also on the 11th and 12th and 18th and 19th. So come check that out as well. And we have some of the panels that we used that we got from our community foundation grant last year, where I got the $50,000, and that's where I added the chairs, also added the expandable display. So we're using those and some tables, but that way we can use it for more art displays as well there. And my hope also for November, I'm hoping for November, I got to work with my team on this. The display that we had at, it's Salinas, thank you. Is to bring I just brought that back yesterday, picked it up in Salinas yesterday. So the thought is to bring that up and highlight some of the photos that we had blown up there and bring those into Colton Hall as well in November. Because I think that'd be great for people to see some of the different photos of Monterey in 1849, 1850 era.
I have a question. Do we need to do anything for the 15th event? Do we have to register in advance?
It's going to go on Brent Eventbrite, so that hopefully all the commissioners will get a copy of that, Brian. And so all you do is sign up. There's no fee involved or anything else.
Thank you.
Just to get a hold on the number.
Yes, thank you.
According to iSearch Monterey, the NIP meeting is on the 15th also
Oh,
at 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Wow.
So then I
No
guess
agenda, but
okay.
it's in the calendar.
It is okay. Thank you for that one says the 15th, but that says the second review first half of projects. But I don't know if there were,
I don't know whether we're in the
Yeah.
first half or second half, so.
I'll be, if it's the same night as
I'll try to find out where we are.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Is there any need for commissioners to volunteer at any of those events?
The artists will be there doing their own thing at the event, so we don't need the artists on those ones there. If I think for do have on the Sunday, let's see, the Sunday the 5th, if we had a commissioner that would be able to be there for the entirety of that program date, or from 10 to 4 or something within that time. So it would be fantastic, because the October 5th, the October 5th with having the day. So if we even had from 10 a.m., starting at 10 a.m., having somebody that could just open up. But then by 12, I think probably around 11:30 or so, the crew is going to start coming in and getting prepped and everything like that. So we definitely need that 11:30, definitely need it open by 11:30, and then 12 o'clock will be the showing. So if anybody's there, but it would be really just to help that we'll have the room set up. So it would just be somebody, a commissioner there that could help out, interact with the public coming in and helping out with the registrations. Like we'll have a list of the registrants for both the 12 and the 2:30 program. So whoever's, and I can email everybody after this too.
My son in town that day, so I have to check.
Yeah, do send out an email.
I will send that to everybody.
Is there anything else, Brian?
No, well, there's others, but we'll get into.
Yes, time for
Yeah.
commissioner comments. So Commissioner O'Neill?
I am very impressed with how much you've done and your staff have done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Evans?
I concur with John. I'm constantly amazed at how much you're doing. Well, there's more, obviously. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Same here.
Commissioner- Great. And of course, I would add my happiness to that you've done so many things, and I'm really thrilled that the music has started again. And just, we mentioned the DeAnza thing. There is a website. It's called anzahistorictrail.org/explore. It's really interesting with the diaries from that time. If anyone would like to look at that, I found it very interesting.
And can I add to that, Chair Kimsey, because I don't know if they've updated it yet or not, but I sent them an email because I told them their Monterey information is partially incorrect
Really?
because they marked the Presidio location as the Lower Presidio Historic Park.
Ah,
But the Presidio at that time was actually located outside of the Royal Presidio Chapel. That's where our initial Presidio was, and it wasn't moved up into the
current position.
current place until I think about 1791. So I emailed them and I said, "Oh, you just got to mark your GIS map too, put it next to Lake Alistero."
Okay, thank
But,
you for
yeah.
checking on all of that. So I think I shall close the meeting. No further comments. Meeting is closed.
Whew.